Welcome to Flip Connect Media, episode 14. We have a very special guest in the house. We have Mr. Kent Clothier, the founder and CEO of Real Estate Worldwide, a team of motivated and innovative individuals focused on building disruptive real estate systems that help push the entrepreneur and the real estate investor's dream forward. Son of an entrepreneur and thus a serial entrepreneur by nature, beyond that, he is a proud husband. He has 3 amazing kids, dedicated to his business life and ventures towards awakening the human spirit and inspiring thousands of entrepreneurs to escape the rat race and create the dream that they have always wanted. Without further introduction, Kent, welcome on board, man.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Doing great. Doing great. Glad to be here, man.
I love it. It is such an honor to have you on board today, man.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate the invite. Happy to help.
You're truly a game changer and a pioneer in the industry. You know, I know a lot of people have watched a lot of the steps moving up, your disruptive systems, and it's something to aspire to. So it's humbling.
No, I appreciate the kind words, man. I appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. So we'll jump right in, man. Tell us a little bit about your experience as a child growing up in a family of entrepreneurs and world changers.
Well, you know, it's easy to say those things looking back, right? But I can tell you that never felt that way as we were doing it, right? The bottom line is I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. My father, as long as I can remember, has always been a guy that was pushing the envelope, pushing really hard. He's only 19 years older than me, so as a young man, you know, I got to watch my father, who was not that much older than me, kind of work his ass off and make things happen in a very big way. All he was trying to do, looking back, was he was never trying to build this epic empire by any stretch. He was just trying to do the best that he knew how to do, and he just has in his DNA that good isn't good when great is expected. If he could do more, we could do more. Then we were expected to do more, and so that was really, really beneficial to me growing up, because what I've learned, you know, whether it's in this industry or my past experiences, I've definitely learned that most people don't have that, right? Most people come up in a family where mom and dad are working, you know, working for somebody else, and they don't really, you know, by proxy get that entrepreneurial spirit kind of, you know, just in them.
Right.
And although it did not seem like a gift at the time, because I'm sitting here 12, 13, 14 years old working my ass off, it certainly was a gift as I got further down the line, right? And I quickly, you know, I look back and I was running a multi-billion-dollar year company by the time I was 30 years old. And you can't do that without having a lot of wisdom and experience that I got by just working through, you know, my father's business and ultimately my business and kind of pushing ahead. So working in an entrepreneurial family, yeah, it can be tough. I mean, we are all, you know, probably everybody watching this has got their own business going on, maybe even they have their kids. And so by virtue of that, your kids are being raised in an entrepreneurial family right now. I can tell you that you should always act like they're watching, because they are. And they're always looking over your shoulder. They're always taking account of everything you're doing, all the struggles, all the mishaps, all the stuff you're going through. They're paying very close attention. So how you deal with that is a great lesson for them on how they will deal with it moving forward. It's an amazing gift to give somebody. And so when I was going through it, I didn't appreciate it. I didn't understand it. But now that I look back at it, it was growing up in an entrepreneurial family was the greatest gift I was ever given, because I just hit the ground running from the very beginning.
It's a whole different type of DNA, a whole different type of work ethic. And I can imagine the expectations in certain seasons were probably seemed a little bit outrageous in your mind, but looking back, the growth and development that you went through in those seasons, probably second to
I mean, look, I was a highly disciplined kid. I made terrible grades in school, but I was highly disciplined in the stuff that I cared about. I was willing to do what it took to, you know, be successful at it. I started my first business when I was 17 years old. And like I said, it turned into a monster and was wildly successful alongside my father. But it was, to your point, there's a lot of pressure there, and there's a lot of things that none of us set out fully understanding what we were doing, right? As Steve Jobs says in his commencement address to Stanford, if you go look that up on YouTube, it's a great video. And he talks about you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking back. And so as I look back, those are huge dots in my life that man, I was being taught from the very beginning what it took to be the best version of myself. I was trained to be uncomfortable, to be comfortable being uncomfortable from the very beginning. Right. I was never satisfied. Never. I knew I could do better. I was expected to do better. And so that is a massive gift that you can give to somebody, is to ingrain that into them, that to never settle for mediocrity, because you only get one shot at this. Right. And so, and that's, there's a lot of people that go through 30, 40, 50 years of their life and they never get that. In fact, most. So to get that at a very young age and to give that gift to your kids at a young age is a huge, huge benefit.
Absolutely. I think it's a major gift, but it's also a burden, because you carry so much on your back and you're so filled with passion that enough is never enough. You know, and you're always pushing to that next level, and you're goal driven, you know, you're passion focused. I would claim that it's such a huge gift. I would not trade it for the world, but it can also be.
Yeah, but the reality is as a kid, you don't know any better.
Right.
You know, your worldview is your worldview. You have no idea how anybody else sees the world, right? We only get those other perspectives as we go through and create our own experiences. And so as you're a kid, you know, 13, 14, 15, whatever, going through your teens, you only see the world through one set of eyes, and you don't have enough experience to see it any other way. And so to me, it just seemed natural. Right. It just seemed like this is the way everybody was, right? I thought everybody was trying to push hard. I thought everybody was trying to stay out of trouble. I thought everybody was, you know, had the fear of God in them, that their father was going to catch them doing anything bad and therefore did nothing, right? But now that I've gotten older and I look back, I just figured out that, you know, most of my friends were a bunch of, you know, jagoffs that were out running up and down the street, you know, doing whatever they were doing, and it just was what it was. But I didn't know that then, right? I just knew that this was my life and this is what I was doing because that's what I was being taught. And now I look back, like I said, and, you know, that discipline, although it was painful at the time, was not fun, but man, it in the end, it's exactly what it takes. I mean, when you can learn how to persevere, and you can learn how to be intentional, and you can learn how to not play the role of a victim and understand and own every one of your decisions from a very early age, the world will get out of your way.
Absolutely.
And so those are, like I said, when looking back, those are massive gifts.
That's huge. Yeah, you attract those things towards yourself, right? With the intentions, with the daily disciplines that you set, and it just takes a lot of intentionality. You know, if you're not intentional about the time that you have, time blocking it down, you're not going to accomplish much.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You have huge organization. You got a lot of different key players, a lot of systems in the mix. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like under the hood of the business today.
So we really run several different businesses here. And so the first business, which I had very little involvement with at this point, more strategy and sit on the board, is our actual investment business, where we're buying, selling, rehabbing houses every single day. We operate in 7 different markets: Memphis, Dallas, Houston, Little Rock, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and St. Louis. And basically our core business now, it evolved from wholesaling, but it is now turned into where we buy a house, we fix the house up, we put a 2-year tenant in the house, make it the prettiest house, nicest house in the entire block, turn around and put a tenant in there with a 2-year lease, and then sell that as a performing asset to outside investors that want that for the cash flow. And so on any given year, we'll do between 900 and 1,000 of those transactions, right? So we're buying 75 to 100 homes on any given month. We have 150 rehabs going on at any given time. We manage almost 5,500 properties right now. And so that's just one business. The other businesses we have on this side is Real Estate Worldwide, which is our training and education company. And inside of that, we have our software components, which is basically how I got pulled into this industry, right? When I got into this industry, I kind of came into it kicking and screaming. I started my investing business because I had nowhere else to turn. I had just lost a business, a $1.8 billion a year business that I'd had a falling out with my partners and basically got pushed out of. And so then at 30 years old, I had to start over, and I was just full of crap enough to believe that I could do anything. Still didn't believe I could do anything. So I went out and over the course of the next 22 months, lost everything. Right when I thought I lost everything, I had a little bit further I had to fall. Basically, I still had millions of dollars in my bank account when I left that company. But over the course of the next 2 years, I got completely wiped out, all the way down to zero. And so very humbling. Would not wish that experience on my worst enemy. It was extremely, like I said, humbling is probably the least of what it was, right? It was bad. But that brought me into real estate. Therefore, that's turned it into the real estate side of it. But some of the things we're doing in our real estate business was very unique. My previous business was called an arbitrage business. It was wholesaling, but it was in groceries. And so when I found wholesaling in real estate, some dots started connecting, light bulbs started going off. I'm like, wait a minute, there's a bunch of people that are doing onesies and twosies here. I can actually turn this into something. And first year just killed it and crushed it, and quickly started putting systems and processes and started using data. And this was back in 2006, right before data was anything, to create a process that really, really worked for us. And we were just very, very fortunate, because when the recession hit, all of our competitors just ran for the hills, right? They basically went out of business because they were locked into just a broken business model. And our business model wasn't broken. We were dealing with only cash buyers. We were using our reverse wholesaling methodology, which I know we'll talk about, but we were using data and systems to our benefit. And so while everybody else was going this way, we were actually going this way, right through the recession, selling hundreds and hundreds of houses. And that brought a lot of attention our way. A lot of people were trying to figure out what the hell we're doing. And I had no interest in training anybody. That wasn't our business, right? And so, but as fate would have it, that's kind of how we got into the education space. We started showing people what we were doing. We started training people what we were doing. We started actually providing the software that we were using, that we had created to find all the buyers, to find all the properties, to do all that kind of stuff. And so, we kind of brought this industry into the 21st century, not because we necessarily wanted to, because we were kind of pulled along ourselves, right? People just wanted to know what we were doing. And so now, as I said, we have a software component that does all lead generation for all of our clients. We have over 50,000 people that have bought our software. We have our training side of it, which basically we will train people top to bottom on how to do it. And we have our boardroom mastermind, which is the most highly regarded real estate mastermind that's out there. And so we have a lot of different moving pieces here. A lot of people that are very passionate about their specific things that they're doing inside of our organization to help people. But we got to, regardless of where you are in your journey, we basically have got you covered. Whether you just want to buy something passively, we got you over here. If you actually want to get involved in it and do it actively, we got all the courses, everything over there. And then ultimately, as I mentioned to you earlier, we got our newest platform that will be launched in July called Cribs. That will be the biggest thing we've ever done. So all very exciting, but to your point, there's a lot going on under the hood, behind the curtains.
Huge. I love watching the work in progress, right? Like as an entrepreneur, you're a creator, right?
Yep.
Everything begins inside of your mind, right? It starts in the imagination, and then you figure out how to map it out. You write down your goal, and it's a process,
Yep.
You got to figure out how to implement it, how to bring this vision to life. And just watching that truly manifest itself is one of the things that drives me so much, and watching that through, your success is now you have a game-changing software that's a staple in the industry that, like you said, thousands and thousands of investors use on a daily basis just to drum up business, to find leads,
Right.
And it all begins with a single thought.
Well, here's the thing, anybody, what it started with, quite frankly, is solving the problems inside of our own business first, right? There is a voracious appetite. There is never a shortage of customers that want you to relieve their pain. So understanding what somebody's pain point inside of their business, whether you're buying houses or selling software or whatever it is, whatever the pain is, solving that pain for somebody is a great way to be very successful. We always just start with solving the pain for ourselves, right? And so, if we solve the pain for ourselves and we are kind of our own guinea pig, we fix the problem internally, and then we turn around and offer that solution out to the world. That has proven to be a very successful formula for us.
It's huge. Yep. It starts within your own organization.
Yeah, it's a big deal for us that we actually buy and sell houses, right? There's a lot of people out there that they no longer do that. They'll sell you a product, but they don't actually buy and sell anything anymore. But it's a huge component of us that while we're here today, there will be, 10 houses bought and sold, legitimately could be bought and sold in the next hour while we're here, right? I mean, that's just our organization that we run.
That's huge. So many moving pieces. I love it. So let's jump into reverse wholesaling. This is one of the huge things that you're known for. Explain this process to a new investor.
Yeah, so I kind of touched on it a minute ago, but in my previous life, I was a kid when I started a business, and like I said, in my 20s, we took a business that was doing nothing, and by the time I was 30, it was doing $1.8 billion a year, and was the 7th largest privately held company in the state of Florida. The company still exists today. It's called Purity Wholesale Grocers. I mean, it's still out there every single day doing exactly what we set out. But one of the things that made me wildly successful was a concept that we coined the phrase reverse wholesaling, but we coined it just for the sake of coining it. The reality of it is we just looked at the business from a very logical standpoint. And by we, I mean me. Here's part of the beauty of being young and naive. You just don't know what you don't know. And so I walked into, we were doing a lot of stuff, and I basically walked into a situation and said, man, I don't understand why we just don't. And by the way that business works is, for those of people that don't know, every single item in a grocery store, that 10-digit UPC code, that barcode that's on the item, that 10-digit code is unique to that item everywhere in the world. So everywhere in the world, that 10-digit number is exactly the same. That can of Coke, whatever, I mean, it's exactly the same. And so what's cool is that item is the same everywhere, but the manufacturers sell it for different prices everywhere. And so they create this gap, this massive market, right? So a case of Coca-Cola, for instance, or a case of Peter Pan peanut butter, let's just use something like that. It might sell for $40 a case in New York City, and it might sell for $11 a case in Miami, Florida. And so guys like me, entrepreneurs, step in and say, well, why don't I just buy the case down here for $13 and turn around, put it on a truck, ship it to New York City and go sell it to them for $38. Everybody's happy, and I'll just make the spread. And that's what we did. And so it became the grocery industry by itself is $700 billion a year, and we were doing roughly $5 billion. So it was nothing, right? In the end, it was nothing. I mean, the whole industry was $5 billion, and we were 1.8 billion of it. So it was nothing. Nobody really cared. Nobody was really looking at it. It was less than 1% of the whole in the big picture. So, but it was extremely profitable. It's a huge business. And what would happen is it would attract a lot of attention. And so when everybody started realizing these margins, a lot of other guys like me got into the industry, and effectively we're all fighting over the same things. Somebody would, Winn-Dixie down in Miami would pick up the phone and say, hey, I have a truckload of, Crisco cooking oil. And he would call 10 guys like me, and we'd all do the exact same thing. We'd all call the same people trying to sell it. And so it was a race to zero. And so who could get by on the thinnest margins? And so one day I just basically said, why don't we just go to every single one of our customers instead of competing here? Why don't we go to everybody that's just buying and ask them if I could sell you anything at any price, delivered on any day in any quantity? What do you want? And our customers that we would sell to responded amazingly to that, right? They would give us lists of items. I'll buy 10 trucks of this, 5 trucks of this, 4 trucks of this, all the way down. And then we would just go backwards. We would recreate or create that opportunity based on what our customers told us they actually wanted. And so while everybody else is trying to sell that truckload of Crisco, we're just going over there and saying, I'll buy this truck of Peter Pan, I'll buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. And so that's how it blew up into this massive business. And so when I got in the real estate space, I found a lot of commonalities there, right? Basically, everything that's taught in the real estate space, certainly in the wholesaling space, is go get a property under contract. If you're not embarrassed by your offer, it's too high. Go get it as cheap as you can possibly get it, and then just kind of post it and push it out there. And somebody, because you got it so cheap, is going to step in and buy it from you because you did such a great job, which is a profitable way to do it. But that's a job all day long. There's nothing predictable about it. If you make one mistake, you're out of line. And so we came up with the concept of reverse wholesaling based on my experience, what we just done in grocery. And we came in and said, listen, why don't we just do the same thing? Why don't we go find everybody that's buying in the market right now? Specifically, all of the cash buyers that are buying, because they make up 35 to 40% of the market. They have the money, they can close quick, right? They just need clear and conveyable title. Why don't we just go contact them and find out exactly what they would like to be buying? And let's just do some research. And so we go into a market, and find every cash buyer, find everything they wanted to buy, understand the exact neighborhoods, the exact price they wanted to pay for it, the exact zip codes, I mean, everything, and get right down into the nth degree, bedrooms, baths, square footage, what they're going to do with it. Are they going to use it as a rental? Are they going to fix and flip it? What's the most rehab they wanted? All of it. And by virtue of having that information, we were so much better when we were marketing on the other side to create the opportunity. Because now we weren't wasting a bunch of time hoping, which hope is not a strategy, by the way, hoping that we created the right opportunity. We were moving very intentionally, knowing we were creating the right opportunity. What we did with it was up to us. Right? We always had options, but at the end of the day, I clearly knew that if I could get this house at this price in this neighborhood, if I wanted to, I had somebody behind me that would buy that thing. And that was reverse wholesaling. We just turned it around. Instead of starting with the property, we started with the buyer. Clearly understanding what they want, how much they're willing to pay. And when you have that information, whether you're brand new or whether you're a seasoned pro, it really doesn't matter, because what happens is you become a gangster. I mean, you can go into any market and take over virtually overnight because you clearly know what everybody's buying. You clearly know how to go and create it. And if somebody tells you that they want to pay $200,000 for a property, well, it's really easy. Everybody wants to, what do I offer? What's the maximum allowable offer on the property? You know, what is it 61% or 71%? No, I don't care. You know what? They want to pay 200. I want to make 10 grand. So the most I can pay is 190. End of discussion. Move on. And so that really allowed us to go buy a lot of houses, and train people very quickly on how to go do this without having to get into all the minutia of, I need you to walk every house and I need you to understand. It isn't about that. This is numbers, right? This is math. And so that concept, when we brought it out and started training people on it, that changed the lives of thousands of people, because they suddenly, what seemed impossible or scary became very real and tangible.
That's huge. Key takeaway with that is great businesses are data driven, right? So you're finding your ideal customer, identifying who they are, you are gathering their information, and then you're organizing it so that you can clearly communicate and line up the right prospect and the right buyer when you have that property avatar, right?
I'll even give you one more, a key takeaway, even one step, maybe a little bit above that, because this one goes everywhere, in every business, every situation. Start with the end in mind.
That's huge.
Most people go to a 3-day seminar, they watch a few YouTube videos, they read a couple books, whatever it is, they attend a podcast like this, and then they just go running down the street aimlessly, and they go throw up a bunch of bandit signs in their neighborhood, or they do all this, and they somehow believe that they are suddenly in the game. And the reality is that they're not even close to being in the game, because you got guys like me, guys like you, and others that think about the business differently and approach it in a very methodical, intentional way, and we will beat that guy and girl every single day,
all day.
And it's not about experience, and it's not about whether you've been in the business 1 year, 1 month, or 10 years. It's about starting with the end in mind. What we're doing is intentional. We're gathering data, we're collecting information, and we're making sure that we use our resources to get to that end result versus, oh my God, I just got to go make $10,000. Let me just run up and down the street and I'm going to go bang on a few doors, throw up a bunch of bandit signs, maybe send a direct mail piece here, and then I'm going to hope that it all works out and I'm going to get paid. And again, hope is not a strategy.
Right. You're acting as a worker bee. I'm so glad you touched on that, because that simple principle, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? That simple principle changed the entire course of my life and my journey, right? When I first got released, slaving away, I thought I wanted to run a big DJ company. You know, I'm like, I used to DJ growing up, so now I'm going to start to target weddings, private events, corporate functions. And so I started building it. And then I read that book, and that simple concept, that simple principle changed the entire trajectory of my journey. Because I'm like, do I really want to be a 50-year-old DJ up here, you know, announcing to the crowd and whoever's coming up? So that simple thing, and reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, is what got me stepping into real estate. And then it's all downhill from there. You know,
I mean, if you study any successful person, that you're going to get some version of what we just said, right? Whether it's in books or whatever. At the end of the day, you can never confuse productivity with activity. And a lot of people get really excited, whether it's in this business or they're starting a new sandwich shop or they're starting some new online business, Amazon store, whatever it is. And they're activity, the inertia, the momentum feels like productivity. And it's in a lot of cases, more cases than not, it's just not. This business is about revenue generating activities. What are the things that will move the needle every single day to get me to the outcome that I've clearly laid out on the other end? And anything outside of that is an activity that I have no interest in.
Right. You delegate. Master it, push it off and delegate it, free up your mental capacity and your mental space to focus on what you do best, right?
You got it, man.
In many cases, as a visionary, it's simply thinking. You're working so much less because you realize that the inertia and energy that you have is so valuable that you're not going to spend that running around on appointments. You're not going to spend it, making phone calls, prospecting, even generating your marketing. Once you create a turnkey system, you put a key person in place and allow them to build the machine. It's huge.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. In your opinion, what is the key to success in this business? We've probably already touched on it.
Well, certainly we've touched on a couple of them for sure. I mean, and it's the key to success in any business, right? I think the key to success, well, I think there's an evolution that everybody goes through. So people that are just starting out, you need to understand, like I just said, revenue generating activities, right? You have to hustle and you have to grind and you have to be willing to go further than anybody else around you. Here's what I'll share with you. The key to success is that you need to understand that there is an ocean of mediocrity out there, right? In every business out there, even at the corporate level, think about just how much corporate corruption we have seen over and over and over again, right? It's how much can I screw over my customers and extract as much money from them, right? That we see this in the headlines over and over and over and over. And so that is the world we live in right now, and which is a blessing and a curse. For us, it's a blessing, is because, as a consumer, it sucks. But as a business person, I love that, because what that means is that my competition sucks. And so in order for me to be successful, I just have to be willing to do the right thing. I have to be willing to step across the line and go further than most of my competition that will give up at the first sign of a headwind, at the first sign of getting punched in the face, which is naturally going to happen in any business. So if you're just starting out, I would tell you, get real comfortable getting kicked, get real comfortable getting hit, get real comfortable, being uncomfortable, because that's just your new norm.
Yep.
Walking into this thinking you're not going to fail, or you're not going to fall down, or you're not going to make mistakes is just completely unreasonable, right? You've already lost if you go into it with that. Let's talk about starting with the end in mind. I'm trying to prepare you. Start with the end in mind. You are going to get hit a lot. And so understanding that and getting comfortable in that headspace and getting comfortable knowing that you've just got to keep pushing. Find a lot of comfort in understanding and defining yourself as the person that won't quit, because it'd be very easy to be the person that does. And then that is your competition. So you can be like them in mediocrity and give up, or you can be allergic to mediocrity and the person says, well, I listened to Kent and I listened to Ben, and all I have to do is just keep moving. Right? Keep moving in the right direction and it will come. People have, Tony Robbins said this, and I thought it was amazing, where he said, people have completely underestimate what they can do in a year and completely overestimate what they can do in 30 days, right? And that nothing can be truer than that. This is about a long-term business. This is about creating a future for you, your family, your community for years to come. It is not about whether you can make a quick buck in the next 20 days. And so get your head in the game the right way and be in it for the long haul, and you will win. It is not because there's too many good systems and processes. I mean, when I got in this industry, none of what exists today existed. You can create massive authority through social media. You can get a ton of information on YouTube. You can get access to masterminds, access to software to create leads, none of that was around when I got in this business. And so it's never been easier to be successful right out of the gate. So number one, if you are getting started, the key to success is keep moving and hustle and move. Go as hard as you can possibly go. And when you think you can't go any further, go harder, go further. The key to success as you get out of that headspace, because here's the catch-22, right? Is that what gets you to a place where you will never be broke, right? Because what happens is you'll start doing a few deals and you'll start making 10, 20 grand a month, and you'll quickly realize, oh my God, I can walk away from my job and I'm never going to be broke. I can actually do this. I can print money. I'm a walking ATM machine. That is a very, very comforting feeling. and it takes a lot of pressure off you, but it will be the death of your business moving forward. And here's what I mean, that the hustler will never be the entrepreneur. So a shift has to happen as you get into that place where it says, all right, so what got me here is not going to get me there. So the key to success from that place moving forward is systems, is process, is people, is automation, is basically surrounding yourself with people that are playing at a higher level, which allows you to elevate your game. Because now you're trying to go from the hustler to the entrepreneur. And those are two different people completely, right? The hustler actually has to die in order for the entrepreneur to live. And freedom only comes from being an entrepreneur, starting with the end in mind, creating and designing the business and the life you actually want, and then working backwards from there. Again, reverse wholesaling, right? Turning the model around. You're not going to somehow notice it or experience it when you get there. You're going to have to plan to get there from the very beginning. Here's the best analogy I can give you. There's so much that goes into starting with the end in mind and clearly understanding what you want, that here, I would share two analogies with your audience. One is, think about this. Very rarely do any of us get in a car today and we're going to a place that we don't know. If anybody is going to a place that we don't know, it's a restaurant, it's a friend's house, whatever the case may be, the very first thing we all do is the same thing. We either put it in the navigation, the GPS on our car, or we put it in the navigation GPS on our phone. And basically, why do we do that? Well, it ensures success. This is where I'm going, this is where I am, and this is the path to get there. We do this with the most, menial task. It's nothing, right? But very few of us would ever just drive around up and down the street and say, well, I'll know it when I get here.
Yep.
It's somewhere in the south part of the county. Well, I'll just drive up and down every street until I see a car that I recognize. We would never do that, but we do that with our business all the time. We sit here and tell ourselves, well, I'll just know success when I see it. No, you have to actually map it out. This is what I want. The same thing, I tell this story all the time. No man that I've ever met, no married man, if your wife calls you up and says, Ben, I need you to pick up some groceries from the grocery store, you don't just stop there. You make sure that you clearly, well, we need milk. Well, what kind of milk? Is it vitamin D, or are we going with cashew milk? Is it almond milk? Is it soy milk? What exactly does milk mean? Because there's about 10 different varieties at this point, right? And you would do that on it. Why would we do that? Because we know a happy wife, happy life. We want to make sure that we get exactly what she wants. You know what we don't do? We don't go, okay, pick up some groceries, and okay, I'll be there, and walk up and down 20 aisles of a grocery store and just grab a bunch of random crap, throw it in, and then come home and go, is any of this what you want? I'm sure I'll recognize it when we don't do that, but we do it with our business every day. And it's the biggest mistake I see people make, is they just don't take the time to get real clear on what they want.
If you don't identify your target, you're never going to hit your mark. Again,
you'll never know when you have hit your mark. Even if you hit it, you were like, oh, how the hell would I know? I have no way of knowing that. So that's the key to success, is actually taking the time to sit down with somebody who has been there, clearly understands how to get you there, going through the exercise of mapping out what you want the business to look like, how it is going to serve you, how it is going to serve your family, how it is going to serve your community, clearly knowing what you're trying to get to, and then mapping out the steps. Here's where I am. Here's where I want to go. How do I get there?
That's huge. That's huge. Yep. It looks like my screen cut out, which is strange on live. Hopefully my audio is still on.
I can see you.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
We're golden. So stepping out of the technician role is probably one of the hardest transitions that many entrepreneurs will have to make, because they're not wired that way, right? They don't understand releasing that control, releasing responsibility of managing, and identifying key people and identifying the right time and place to put those people in position, right?
Yep.
So I think it's an art form within itself, is realizing when that right time is to delegate, where you can put them in place and, again, step out and focus on your money generating activities.
Well, it's real simple. It's as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Right. Time is not on your side. The biggest mistake I see everybody making, is walking around with their head up their ass thinking that they got time on their side. Yep. And time is ticking on every single one of us. There is no better time than right now. It's the reason I walk around every day. It's become the logo and the mantra of our entire organization, right? The time is now. It's on my wrist. Hell, it's tattooed on my arm. I mean, I believe passionately that to waste time or to act like you have it, on your side is reckless and irresponsible. You need to be in a hurry to create the dream life that you deserve. And the only way that's going to happen is by creating freedom. And the only way freedom happens is by putting people, processes, and systems in place to do that. So you need to be in a hurry to create those things as soon as the business can afford to do it. Now, to your point, how do people get through that mental block? It's two things. One, you need to get really comfortable understanding that it's okay that nobody's going to do it as good as you do it. Which is, I hear that all the time. Well, nobody's going to care about my business as much as, okay, fine. That's cool. If that's what you believe, you can make that real. But what if they do it 80% as good as you do? Who gets that 80% of their time back? You do. And you can always reserve the right for that last 20% to kind of come over the top. So in other words, like it's very specifically in our business, go allow the people, train them in your organization to do deals, get it all the way to the place where it's right. And then that always has to come across your desk for that final, stamp of approval.
Underwrite it.
But if you have to go and do every single comp and you have to go on every single appointment, or you have to talk to that is not freedom. That is a job, baby.
Bottleneck. Yep.
Yeah. And it's real simple, guys, to figure out if you own a job or own a business. Just leave. Walk away. Go away for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. And if you come back and the doors are still open, you might have a business. If the doors are still open and there's more money in your bank account than when you left, you definitely have a business. Anything short of that, your ass owns a job. And that's the game. Fire yourself as often as you can. Get out of the way. And then eventually, it'll take a little bit of time. You will quickly realize that that's where freedom comes, is when you have the business is about options. When you have the option to walk through the door or not, the business, doesn't need you. That's when life is good. Anything short of that, you got work to do.
That's huge. That's a huge takeaway. So you're prepping for the Scale and Escape Summit that's coming up in June, right? San Diego, California.
Yep.
We got firehouse speakers and presenters coming up. Tell us a little bit about the lineup and what you got planned.
Well, everything that we have already kind of covered here is, you can see this is something I'm extremely passionate about. As the saying goes, you do it long enough, you'll figure it out over the years. So I've been in business for over 30 years now. I have learned a great deal. I think there's a massive gap in this industry specifically of people that understand how to actually turn it into a business. There's all kinds of people out there that will teach you how to go flip a few houses, how to go make a living, how to never be broke. But there's very few people that teach it, and even fewer that are actually qualified that are doing it, and have built big businesses, are living the life you want to live, are, kind of created their dream outcome. And so Sean Terry and I put this event together a couple of years ago. This, I think, is our third year now doing this. And what we work really hard to do is to fill the room with people that are looking to scale their business. And that's why it's called Scale and Escape, and have the option to escape it. Meaning, like the example I just told you, again, a lot of people don't even have the option to escape even for a day, a week. Couldn't even think of escaping for a month. This entire event is designed to create that outcome for people. So we bring speakers in from all walks of life, not only real estate. So this year we have Jesse Itzler, who is an amazing speaker. He is the founder of Marquee Jets, very, very successful guy, New York Times bestseller, wrote the book Living with the Seal, Living with the Monks. He is the founder of Zyco Water. He sold, not many people have sold a business to Warren Buffett and sold another business to Coca-Cola, but he did that in both of those businesses. He's married to the founder and CEO of Spanx, who you see Sarah Blakely on Shark Tank every week, or, this is an entrepreneurial family to the nth degree. So he's going to be there. Bedros Keuilian's going to be there. Bedros is the founder of Fit Body Boot Camp, who is in the fitness space, an Inc. 500 CEO, has built his franchise model out to over 1,000 franchisees all over the world at this point. And just 6 years ago, they were doing nothing, right? They were almost broke, and he's done it very, very quickly. We've got Tony Hawk coming in. Yeah, the Tony Hawk from skateboarding fame and Birdhouse. He has built a massive global brand. He's a household name everywhere in the world. He is synonymous with skateboarding. I've asked him to come in and speak about how he's done what he has done and the authority it has created and how that brings deal flow to him and the opportunities and how he's connected all those dots and maintain that balance. Sam Kremenian, who is the founder of Big Block Realty and Inc. 50, fastest growing company. He's going to come in and talk about what he's done inside of his business. Kent Clothier, my brother and one of the operators at Memphis Invest will be there. Sean Terry, as I mentioned, my co-host, will be there, and he's going to talk about how he has built his massive wholesaling operation, as well as he has, he's gotten into syndications, just bought 400 apartment building, or apartment units, I should say. Justin Colby's going to be there. Tucker Mack's going to be there. Mikey Taylor, Holly Williamson, LaDonna Smith. I mean, we have just got it. I mean, it is packed, right, with people that are really playing at a very, very elite level. Ryan Stewman's going to be there. These are people that, you know, we do these events. And there's nothing to buy. We basically do these events because this is what I'm passionate about. I want people to wake up and realize what the hell's possible. So many people get trapped in the mundane stuff of what's going on in their world, right? And they're trapped in their own four walls, and they're, yeah, I'll get to it later. I'll get to it this. And literally what they were doing is exactly what I just said, the most irresponsible thing they could do. Acting like you have time on your hands. And if you're not in a hurry to create your dream life, then I can tell you this is not an event you want to attend. If you are in a hurry to create your dream life, then this is exactly the kind of event you want to attend, because a rising tide raises all ships. You need to get around people that are playing at an elite level. And I promise you, you hang around them enough and your thinking will elevate and you will kind of raise up and you'll be like, oh man, I didn't realize what was possible. Now I do. And you know, what, as the saying goes, once a mind is expanded, it can never contract. You never get to go back home and tell yourself, well, I didn't know. There's a lot of comfort right now with people going back to that whole ocean of mediocrity I was talking about. There's a lot of comfort in avoiding the decision and basically saying, well, if I stay home and I don't push myself and I don't go to an event like this, then I can still, you know, again, this is subconsciously what's going on. I still get to say that I don't know. I still get to be mediocre, and there's no, that's okay. I'm comfortable with that. But if you're going to say that, then just say it. You know, I choose not to do this. It's not what I want out of my life. But don't sit around and talk about what you want out of your life and then don't make the decisions to actually make it happen.
That's huge. And the interesting thing too is that we're facing a major disruption in the market, in the economy, and with the rapid increase of technology. As you know, a lot of the jobs that we have today, 5-10 years from now, are going to be obsolete. You got machines and robots that are learning how to think and operate as humans, artificial intelligence, different algorithms. Google knows you almost better than you know yourself, right? And if we don't adapt and learn the tools that are needed in the industry today, then we're going to be lost in 5-10 years. You know, I almost wonder what some of these huge warehouses and these massive buildings are going to look like in 10 years. Like, we could have some more ghost towns. Like, look at what happened with the Industrial Revolution and phasing out into the data age, right? And
yeah, it's not a matter of if this is going to happen. It's a matter of when, and it's happening right now. And so anybody that sits around with their head buried thinking that I will get to it later, then let me just help you understand something. You will get exactly what you deserve. And that's just the fact of the matter. I mean, it's the hard truth. It doesn't, you know, just because I say it in a rough way doesn't make it any less true. The bottom line is you own your decisions. If you choose to bury your head in the sand and act like, you know, that it's not going to happen to you, you're the very person that's going to get run over. To not continue to expand and continue to understand how to adapt and become a better entrepreneur and to take care of your family and elevate your game, to me, is just, like I said, I just can't imagine I can't imagine being in that place, quite frankly. I mean, my mind just doesn't work like that. I mean, I'm constantly pushing ahead, and everybody I'm bringing into that room is of the cut of the same, you know, cloth, right? We want to constantly push ahead.
That's huge.
Which, by the way, if anybody wants to go to that event, just go to scaleandescape.com, just FYI.
Yep. That thing is blowing up everywhere. Every time you go on Facebook, Ken is running hard. This is going to be a powerhouse event.
Yep, absolutely.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, I think piggybacking off of what you said, I mean, you look everywhere around you and everything is either growing or it's dying. You know,
there's no middle ground.
Human being, there is no middle ground. If you are not progressing and taking strides towards personal development every single day, then you're going to actually be declining. It's almost like compound interest. Compound interest will eventually spike up, but it will also do the exact same, right? If you take those negative steps. And
yeah, I would tell you that, again, to your point, telling yourself that you're kind of pushing it off, I'll get to it later, whatever, that is a decision. I mean, this is a black and white situation, to your point. It's you're either building or you're destroying. It's one or the other. There is no middle ground here. Either you're on this trajectory or you're on that. And sitting back and deciding that you don't want to participate right now clearly puts you on the wrong side of that.
Yep.
right? That is the decision. Whether you own it or not is completely up to you. But at the end of the day, that's the decision you are making by virtue of, abstaining.
And Albert Einstein said one of the most powerful forces on this planet is compound interest, right? But just as fast as that interest will start to gain momentum, it will shoot down towards the bottom. So be mindful about your decisions, because every single decision that you make today is going to have a significant impact on tomorrow. Every single thought that you manifest, right? It's somehow going to manifest itself in a physical equivalent in your life.
That's right.
It's crazy, but that's the importance of your mindset and personal development. Couldn't have said it better. So we're getting close to the end of the interview today. Let's end with a couple questions I like to ask every viewer. First,
go ahead.
What is your favorite quote and why?
Well, favorite quote is my quote. The time is now. It's everywhere in my office. And the reason why is because it's the most true statement you could ever, it's always true. At the end of the day, the thing I watch people do over and over and over again in their life is act like they have time. And one of the best things that ever happened to me was I had a couple of experiences, near-death experiences that really helped me understand and gave me real clarity on just how precious time is. And it drives me every single day. And I believe I can assure you that when I go out, I will go out knowing I did everything I can possibly do. And I think that is a life well lived. I think it's admirable. I think it's noble. I think anything short of that is a waste of talent, waste of effort, waste of energy, and it's just mediocrity. And like I said, I'm allergic to mediocrity. I just cannot imagine living my life that way. And so I think the more people that wake up and understand that everything you want is possible right now. I mean, it's right here. We live in this amazing time, in this amazing country, and this amazing opportunities are all around us. And you can get so much information and insight so quickly. To waste this time and to push off anything is just silly.
Wow. That's incredible. So powerful.
Yeah. It's simple, but it's powerful.
Yep. Fail forward and fail often.
Amen, baby.
I love it. What is your favorite book of all time?
The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho.
Love that book. Love that book.
Yeah, without question. Always. Not a business book. You can read it in probably 24 hours, but it will change your life. Changed everything for me. Everything you need is inside of you, and you'll become very evident when you read that book.
On the quest of your personal legend.
Yep.
Huge. I love it.
Amazing book. Amazing book.
Wow. Lastly, where can viewers find you online? And we did touch on where they can get the tickets for Scale and Escape, which is incredible. But where's the best place where you can be found? So
I'm easy to find. I'm all over Facebook. Just go to Kent Clothier, or you can go to KentClothier.com. You can go to REWW.com, which is Real Estate Worldwide, REWW.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. Any of those places, we connect with everybody right there. We do a real good, or we try to do a good job of engaging there. But easiest place is probably KentClothier.com or REWW.com. And then for tickets to the event, just go to ScaleandEscape.com. It's really, again, if you are, you've heard me say it several times here, but if you want to be legendary, like your shirt says, and you believe that's something that you have inside of you, then I would highly encourage you to go and get into this room, because it is going to be just that, legendary, baby.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you once again, man. It is such an honor to have you on board today.
You got it, brother. My pleasure. Let me know how I can help. Peace.